What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, the bed is primed. Turned out really nice. So today what we're going to do is we're going to block it real quick with some sandpaper. So we're going to block it with 240 grit with some guide coat on it, see where our highs and lows are. Then we're going to use some body filler to fill in the lows, block it again, and we're going to see how far we can get with that today. Before we get started, I had someone on Instagram ask me to explain what I use as far as my setup for painting, for priming, and what materials I use and what equipment I use. So let me show you that real quick and then we'll get into blocking this. So it's a mess in here because my paint booth kind of came down, which is okay. I'm done with it for the time being. But this is the gun I used. I bought this gun 4 years ago or so from Harbor Freight. I bought it when I planned on painting this truck. Yes, 4 years ago. So it's just the cheap Harbor Freight gun, but it worked really well. I bought a pressure regulator and then an inline air filter just from Lowe's. Those weren't too bad. They're maybe 10 bucks a piece. And it's an HLVP, comes with the gravity fed hopper. My air compressor, I'm actually borrowing this from a buddy up the street. It's a 33 gallon. Here's the specs on it. And it kept up just fine with painting. It didn't like the DA sander, but I think having the spray gun pressure reduced down to 30 psi, 29-30 psi, it kept up just fine. So that worked well. For primer, I used this U-pull system. It was very, I'm not going to say cheap, but it was much less expensive than many of the other options at my local auto paint store. And the nice thing about this, you can use this as surfacer, high build primer, and a sealer. So just depending on how you use the reducer and the hardener, and the spec sheet will tell you which way to mix it for which purpose. But it worked really well. So I only used, I don't know, maybe I've probably still got 7/8 of that left. So I barely used any of it. So that worked really well. I mixed it as surfacer for right now. I don't know that I'll need to mix it as a high build. So I'm going to run it as surfacer right now. Like I said, we'll block sand it right now with 240, do the body filler, block that, and then we'll probably do one more coat of surfacer, sand it nice and evenly, and then we'll seal it. And then it'll be ready for paint. So let's get to sanding, see how much of this we can get done today. This is the guide coat I'm using. There's various types of guide coat that you can use, but this is what I found at the paint store. So we're gonna put some of this, we'll do this side first, and then move to the other side. I'm actually gonna focus, this is my first time doing this, so I'm gonna focus on this top portion and do the lower in just a minute. There we go. So that doesn't need to be on there very thick, just needs to show us as we sand what comes off and what doesn't. Now for block sanding, I ordered this. You can buy it at many auto paint stores as well, but it was cheaper on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. But it comes with a bunch of different kind of shapes and thicknesses of blocks. So it should work pretty well. So I'm actually going to use 320 for this because it turned out pretty smooth already. So I think 240 could do it, but it might be a little aggressive. So we'll sand this primer down with 320 and then go a little more aggressive once we put the filler on. All right, let me show you what this guide coat and sand blocking revealed. So I think the most helpful thing it did, you know, it tells you where the lows are, but that's not as big of a deal because we know those are we're gonna use body filler. But the bigger thing is it tells you where the highs are. There's a high here, there's a high here, there's one here, there's one here. So those are spots I'm going to come back before I do the filler, before I do the body filler, and try and get those low, or not low, but at least level. See a couple more. This one's not very big. Right there's a little one. And you can see a couple low spots here and there. This is a dent I knew about, but I hadn't worked on because I couldn't see where the high spot was. Look how obvious that block sanding made it. That's the high, that's the low. This is a tricky one because it's right on that style line or accent line. So I'm going to work on that one a little bit with the hammer and dolly. And then a couple more that I kind of knew about, but I couldn't really figure them out very well. Right here, there's a low, and the high is actually out onto the fender a little bit. So that we'll take care of that one. And then right here on the fender, it's a little high. So overall, and that's what you're supposed to get from doing the block sanding with the guide coat, is figure out the highs and the lows before you do your body filler. Because again, your body filler fills the lows really well, but if you've got highs, it's not going to help out. So we got to take down those highs. I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to come over here and block this other side, put some guide coat on it and block it. Kind of do the same little analysis, and then work a little bit more with the hammer and dolly, kind of get some of those highs taken down, sand it a little more, see where we're at, and then do some body filler. So I'll do that and I'll catch back up with you when I've got this side blocked already. Alrighty guys, so I'm not gonna name the sides of the bed, but if I were to name them, the passenger side would be the good side, the driver's side would be the bad side. So I'm gonna stand back and you can see low spot right here. It's actually not super deep, it's just kind of broad. Little bit of low spot right here, again very, very shallow. And then a little bit right down here, and these few things right here. So I'm gonna get my hammer and dollies out, kind of work those a little bit. As I work them, you know, I'll work them a little bit, sand a little bit, kind of see if I need to put a little bit more guide coat on there, that's fine. But see if I can get those high spots down a little bit. So I'll do that and catch back up with you. Alright, so I have all the high spots pounded down a little ways so that they sanded out. You can see like this, all my marks from hammering, but again, that'll fill with body filler. So what I'm going to do now, you know, the last grit sandpaper I used was 220 to block sand it, but I'm going to go with 80 grit on the orbital sander and sand all the low spots down to pretty much bare metal to make it really gritty for the body filler to stick in there really well. So and it'll also help me visualize where all those low spots are when I'm doing the body filler. So I'm going to do that, then we'll start mixing some body filler. Making good progress today. Alright, progress update. So you can see I used the 80 grit, sanded down to metal in any spot where I'm going to put filler at. Remember, this spot was high, but I pounded it so it's a little bit low now. Spot there, this corner, couple here. So I'm ready to mix up the filler. I've washed those spots and degreased and de-waxed them, so they are prepped and ready to go. So I'm gonna mix up the body filler, start putting it on. So wish me luck. Again, all this stuff, this is the first time I've ever done this. I've done a little hammer and dolly work, but all this other stuff, I've never done it before. So this is not a how-to video, this is how I'm doing it. So again, wish me luck for that case. This is the stuff I'm using. It's the stuff the auto paint store recommended, and I've read really good things about it online as well. So I'm gonna get my respirator as well. Alright, a little progress update. First of all, the step of doing body filler, I thought this was going to be the easiest step in this whole process, and it has been the hardest so far. What's hard about it is the body filler sets up so fast, so you can't mix a lot at once. You have to do just the right amount of hardener. See if I can get a better angle there. So I've got a little bit more to go on here, so I've got a couple spots I'm going to touch up, like this one and that one for sure, and then the one back here. All the other ones came out really nice. Just a little bit on there. This one came out really nice. This one did. And then that one down there, just a couple little spots. And then this one down here also came out really nice. So it looks ugly, but it is really smooth, which is the objective. So, all right, I'm gonna mix some more up and finish. You can see I need a little bit more right here. So I'm gonna finish a few more of these spots. Probably not gonna show you because again, there's barely even time to even do it, let alone move the camera around and try and get a good angle. So it's not even worth it. So I'm gonna do those. These, you can see I've sanded these. So this isn't the filler, you know, that's not the raw filler. I've already gone down and sanded it. Because again, that's pretty time sensitive too as well. It says wait 10 to 15 minutes and then sand, or else, you know, you can do it later on, but it sets up really, really hard. So anyways, I'm gonna finish those other spots real quick like, and then I'll give you another update. All right, let me show you some raw Bondo before I sand it real quick. I also did these few spots up on top of the bed rail too, so I'll sand those down. So just have these few spots left to sand. And then hopefully it's all smooth and level. That's the goal, I guess. All right, I'm gonna sand it. Be back. Alright guys, so I've got it all, got the body filler all done, at least I think I do. Got it all wiped down with some soapy water, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to wait for the sun to go down a little bit and throw another coat of primer on it outside this time. It's not windy. Well, it's not too windy. It's usually really windy here, but not too windy. There's not really any bugs out yet, and it's going to be sanded anyway, so I figure I'll just throw the next coat of primer on outside instead of making up my my nice paint booth. So anyways, I'll do that real quick and then we'll end this video. Show you around it real quick. So there it is. making good progress. So I'm going to block it one more time, make sure it's all smooth, and then seal it. I'm still trying to decide if I want to seal it and then hold off on painting it until I do all this to the cab and everything first, or just paint it and then do the cab on its own. So we'll see what I decide to do. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully we'll have this thing painted in no time, but thanks for the patience. It's a long project, but it's fun. If you have any questions, any comments, comment below. Like the video if you haven't yet, and we'll see you guys in the next video.